James in Barnes has a different point of view to me. That's why he's up next. Go ahead, James.
Yes, hi, Mr. Galloway. Actually, I was after just listening to the end of your call with the Reverend, I was going to ask you actually a question. Mr. Galloway, first of all, what do you think of the Holocaust?
I think it's the worst crime in human history.
Right. And you believe that it took place?
I think it's the worst crime in human history.
Right.
You obviously came on with a script and weren't expecting that result. Moreover, James, not only was it the worst crime in human history, I believe the denial of it ought to be a criminal offence in Britain.
I agree with you. Well,
as it is in many other parts of Europe.
I'm delighted that you say that. So, secondly,
I'm offended that you're surprised, but never mind, go on.
No, I'm not. I didn't say I was surprised. I said I'm glad that you believe that. So my next question is this. Is because you seem to be telling everybody a history lesson about the Jews that were in Palestine at the time, and I'm not for 1 minute going to argue that there was a majority of Jews in Palestine pre the war, because there were not. However, would you like to explain to me, because you seem to know more than anybody else, how the State of Israel came about? Because I know why it came about, and that I'm sure that
tell me why it came about, James.
Well, you tell me, because you agreed that the Holocaust was the worst thing that ever happened. So
yeah,
why?
Well, the first thing that you need to know then, and given you know nothing about me, or you wouldn't have asked that Holocaust question, this may come as a surprise to you too. The Balfour Declaration, in which the British Empire promised the Zionist movement the land of Palestine to establish their settler state, was in 1917. In other words, almost 30 years before the Holocaust. So the establishment of a Zionist state in Israel had nothing whatsoever to do with the Holocaust. The Holocaust was carried out by European Christians who massacred 6 million Jews in an attempt to eradicate from the face of the earth all the Jews of Europe. They were collaborated with by other European Christian fascists in places like Romania and elsewhere, and indeed those seeking to flee from the pogrom of Nazism in Europe were locked out of countries like the United States and Britain from 1937 onwards. In other words, we're talking about a crime committed by European and North American Christians against European Jews. The one people who are entirely innocent, absolutely and entirely innocent, of anything to do with the Holocaust are the Palestinian people, who are the people who've been made to pay for it. If a state for Europe's Jews had been created in the middle of Germany after the Second World War, that would at least have had some kind of punitive logic. But to punish the Palestinians by taking their country, when they had nothing whatsoever to do with the Holocaust, was a very grave injustice. James, the floor is yours.
I would say to you that at the time that the State of Israel came about after the Second World War, after the Holocaust, it was the Holocaust that forced, let's say, the hand of all the European and the Americans to create this state, whatever you want to call it. Now, let's just say nobody is saying that it was right that the Jews should take preference over Palestinians. The Jews, I know for a fact that the Israelis offered Israeli citizenship to the Palestinians that were there at the time.
Well, that was good of them.
Hold on, there are some.
That was good of them. It was the Jews offered the Palestinians Israeli citizenship in their own country.
Well, hold on, because Palestine, per se, was a mixture of lots of different countries that had...
No, James, I'm sorry, that's just nonsense. And you're going to have to back that up with a fact or two. The Palestinians are the Palestinians. They had lived in Palestine for thousands of years. They were not a mixture of anything. They were just Palestinians.
But so had Jews, hadn't they?
A tiny number of Jews had lived in Palestine perfectly peacefully with their Christian and Muslim neighbours. The problem is the Balfour Declaration, and I know that you don't want to talk about that because it's your narrative that Israel is something to do with the Holocaust. But of course, Israel was effectively founded in 1917, 30 years before the Holocaust, when Mr. Balfour, on behalf of Great Britain, promised to the Zionist movement the land which belonged to the Palestinian people. Now, these are the facts, James.
It suits your argument to put it that way. The Holocaust was the thing that created the state and pushed the state of Israel.
Well, we're just repeating ourselves now, James, but you're willfully ignoring the historical facts.